Figures from Scotland's National Records Office show that in 2024 the number of people living here rose to 5.55 million. The main driver of this was immigration. Without this, the population would have fallen as deaths outnumbered births. In fact, there was an all-time low in births. At the same time, the population as a whole is getting older. It's forecast there will be a substantial increase in the over 75s over the next 2 decades. Well, we reflected on this striking demographic shift with the health journalist Pennie Taylor and the former editor of the Scotman John McLellan. So Pennie, this record high population is largely being driven by immigration. Scotland is changing demographically, isn't it?
Yeah, and I think you notice it as you're going around. I mean, I remember a time when you very rarely saw a person of colour, and now we're a multinational, multicultural society, and I personally find that really heartening and makes me hopeful for the future.
And John, do you recognise that as well? Do you see it around that Scotland has changed quite considerably?
Yeah, I mean, particularly I noticed it going back at the turn of the century when you began to see lots of Eastern European number plates appearing for the first time with the extension states, people being able to move here for work, and it's accelerated ever since then. So there's no question, certainly a place like Edinburgh, which was, when I moved there over 30 years ago, was homogenous. There's no question about it. And as Pennie said now, the complexion of the population is markedly different than what it was.
In cities around Scotland, across the whole country, really, this is happening.
Yeah.
And I mean, there were figures related to this from the Scottish Government yesterday that showed almost 1 in 3 school children in Glasgow don't speak English as a first language. That's quite a statistic, Pennie.
I'd like to dig into exactly what that means, because I mean, maybe they have Gaelic as a first language, so you know, I'd like to unpick what we mean here. But you know, the fact that people, if English isn't their first language, still are choosing to come, and you know, these are the Scots of the future. Why on earth would we have a problem with that? Does
that figure surprise you, John, at all? Quite a stark figure?
Yeah, I think it's higher than I would have thought. But I mean, clearly the challenge is to make sure that the resources are in place to be able to educate these children in an effective way, as much as it's a challenge to educate our own children effectively. But I mean, it does all talk to more and more pressures on the system.
Yeah, and there are more and more pressures on public services as a result of this ageing population. Pennie, in particular, health and social care being the obvious one, I guess.
Very definitely. You know, we have got a dramatically ageing population. For the first time, just a couple of years ago, we saw more people aged over 60 than under 16 in Scotland. That's a real tipping point. We've known it was coming. None of this is a surprise. We've known that the baby boomers are coming through the system. My concern is that we haven't done enough to prepare for it.
In what way? In what areas do you think in particular?
I think in terms of, you see it most starkly in terms of social care. You know that older people, you're very likely to have more than one health condition. You are very probably going to need support and care to keep you at home. And if you don't have a family around, which is also part of modern society, people you know, go away to work, your children are not necessarily here. Who's going to care for you? Who's going to keep you out of hospital? And what we've seen is that hospital is often the last resort when social care has failed, and there has definitely not been adequate planning for this, and that makes me quite angry.
And hospital's often the worst place they want to be anyway, you know.
And not just health and social care, of course, that the pressure is being felt, John. I mean, it puts pressure on a lot of public services that are stretched at the moment.
Yeah. I mean,
what impact do you see it having?
Well, I mean, quite clearly in housing, you know, and you see the numbers they show that the level of increased immigration, people are looking for somewhere to live, at the same time as an ageing population with more and more people living on their own, putting pressure on the housing supply. And until such time as we crack the housing supply, then the issues and the tensions around all of these numbers are not going to go away. And I really don't see any solution looming anytime soon to the shortage of housing. I mean, I'm just looking at the numbers in Edinburgh before the Housing Committee last week. £260 million short of what they need just to meet the basic requirements that they think they need for affordable housing. The numbers aren't stacking up, the plans aren't there, the planning regime is not there. No one's got the answer.
And there are projections, of course, for what will happen in the future. Well, let's just take a look at this graphic. Over the next few decades there, we're looking at a huge increase in the number of over 75s and a big decrease at the other end of the scale in the number of young people. That will have a big impact. The lowest ever birth rate, Penny.
Yeah, it's global. It's happening globally. The implications of it are really quite frightening, because you have that huge column of people aged over 75, which actually is a success story. Let's face it, that's people who perhaps in the past, wouldn't have survived cancers that they're treated for and survive, avoid heart attacks, are living because we are treating people better. But at the other end, we've got younger people choosing not to have the children that are going to be needed, frankly, to pay for the growing number of older people.
The report shows quite clearly the graphs of the number of people that are now dying of Alzheimer's and those illnesses, but less so dying of cancers and heart disease. But it's ironic also that the problems in the education system are likely to be solved by having fewer children in it, because the money will go further because there are fewer kids to be educated. So there needs to be a reallocation of some resources anyway.
Why do you think, John, people are not having as many children as they were? Why do you think the birth rate is reaching such a low level just now?
I think people are more comfortable, and
it's choice. Then, do you think? Is it?
I think they're settling down later, and I think there will be a lot of choice involved in it.
I think there's probably economic drivers. I think it's quite hard for people perhaps to afford the children they might want, and there's also global pressures, and there's a lot of people very worried about the state of the world, and maybe delaying having children on that basis. There's lots of reasons, and some countries have tried to take positive action. I think they've been in some places. Hungary springs to mind. People were offered money to have children. I mean, maybe we're going to have to go there.
You see it reaching that stage here, do you think?
I'm not sure that stacks up, though, because we are a much more affluent society than we were in the 40s, 50s and 60s. People had a lot more kids then than they're having now, and we are better off.
But behind all these stats is going to be a massive socio-economic division. If you were to drill down into why people were choosing, for instance, not to have children in the middle of Edinburgh, wealthy Edinburgh, compared to a far more straitened community, you might find very different answers. It needs investigating, because we need to do something about it.
Do you think there are opportunities in these trends as well, John? I mean, there are challenges that we've addressed. Are there opportunities?
Well, there should be opportunities to be able to attract, highly skilled people to come and work here. I think that the reorganising education may be possible with lower numbers, but I mean the biggest challenge of them all is, as Penny said, is dealing with lots and lots more people living a lot longer with illnesses.
We need
that's not going to go away.
We need highly skilled people like carers, like home carers. It's not just the surgeons and the doctors. It's right through society.
We need people to work at a higher level to earn taxes to pay for it all.
Absolutely. And on that note, we'll have to leave it there. Penny and John, thank you both for joining us on Scotland Tonight. Thank you.